Welcome to Ignite. My name's Doris Carlin, and I'm here today with you for session 12, Strengthening Your Relationships. To tell you a little bit about me in, I would say, a past life, I have been an operating partner. I've been a MAPS coach. I've been a KWU faculty member. I've been an operating partner, and I've led a seventh level multi-million-dollar real estate team. So today's topic is really near and dear to my heart because, quite frankly, I lived off my database in my career. So let's get started today. Let's talk about our agenda. Today, strengthening your relationship is our topic. Session 11 taught us how to follow up on leads, and today we're going to take those leads and turn them into something much more substantial for you. So establishing the mindset is going to be our first topic of conversation. We're going to have 3 different goals today: establishing our mindset, identifying our goals, and then devising our plan. And yet, the first 2 are really mental goals for us. And then the third goal really means for us to take action and make it happen. Without one, the other 2 don't exist. Without the other 2, the one won't be possible. So we're going to talk about today applying the principles that you've learned for leads, taking leads and turning them into contracts, creating a 36 touch plan, and you're already almost there. You just don't know it yet. We're going to talk about making offers for immediate response that will generate interest in you and in real estate. And we're going to develop a strategy to grow the number of contacts you have in your database. So let's talk about what is a lead and what is a contact. I had a coach tell me once that someone's going to buy something today and someone's going to sell something today. Go out there and just get in the middle, get in their way. And that's so apt because at all different times in people's lives, they need to move. And so for us to have a connection with those people that are in our database means that they will call us when the time comes for them to make a move. That's what we call top of mind awareness. Who's the first person they think of when they think about doing any kind of a real estate transaction, whether it's a home to live in, a property to invest in, etc. We want them to think of us. Know that growth comes from clarity, priorities, and focus. Clarity, priorities, and focus. Clarity is going to be our mindset. So I would like you to turn to page 12.3. We're going to talk about establishing that mindset and how critical it is. You've seen this before. This is, I call it leads versus contacts, but it's really called the lead generation and data model. And basically what we're doing is we're dumping all these leads that we're getting, and now we want to take those leads and connect with them at a deeper level so that they turn into contacts. So basically, what's the difference between a lead and a contact? Well, in my opinion, it's someone that you have a relationship with on a deeper level. Now, a lead is someone who might say, yeah, I'm thinking about selling my house in 6 months, and you can send them market updates, put them in your database. Maybe you only have an email address or a telephone number to text. I like to think of a contact as someone you have a deeper relationship with, that you can have a conversation with, that you have enough information about them that you know who their kids are, what schools their kids go to, you know their address, what neighborhood they live in, you know what neighborhood they're going to want to look in. How well do you know them? How well do they trust you to do business with you? These are all things that I like to say are what it really takes to get into my contact database. And when are they going to do something? John Maxwell wrote a book called Everyone Communicates, but Few Connect. That's just an amazing title of a book. And so you can imagine what the book is about. It's about conversations, it's about connecting with people at a deeper level than what you might on the surface. And so to me, a lead is something that you just have a surface knowledge of them, but a deeper knowledge is taken into consideration when you have a contact or a client or a customer. Do you know about their kids? Do you know the who, what, and why of when they're going to move? What makes the difference important is that you feel comfortable, confident with yourself, that's a mindset, and with them, that they are learning to trust you. They're learning to be comfortable with you. Also, your sphere of influence. They already know you. They should be in your database as contacts. You've worked alongside them, perhaps volunteering with one of your local service clubs. Perhaps you've formed a trusting relationship with them as a friendship or a business relationship. Your hairdresser, your CPA, your lawyer, your family lawyer. Now we're getting to a deeper level where we know the people on our database. And that's what I would call a more solid relationship with them. Your family should be on your database. And so when I pick up the phone or I'm sending them a message, then I know more about them. I know they're new to town, so maybe I might offer them a restaurant recommendation. I might tell them if they ever need a plumber or a chimney cleaner, call me. I'll give them a resource. You're connecting with them in a way that they can really feel from you that you want to be of service to them. That really there is the connection. If they feel that you really want to be of service to them, that you're not just in it for the commission, they're going to know that and they're going to learn to trust you. So we have more of a reciprocal conversation when we have conversations, and we have a deeper, more solid relationship with them based on trust. Focus on building relationships and taking market share. I love this quote because to me, I really truly did live on my database. And what that means is after a few years, I had my database built up to people who I really did have solid relationships with. And so I was able to work nothing but my database all the time, so that every call I made was a warm call, except for maybe some just solds in the farming area, or I loved expireds, but there aren't any of those now anyway. But to tell you that you really connect with those people, then every day you're getting up to calling the people that you really want to be in business with and you really want to help. I'll tell you a story about establishing mindset. When I was first starting out in business, I didn't have all the gizmos, gadgets, computers, et cetera, that you all have today. And so in my own way, I had my lead generation were my business cards. And every morning I'd put 25 business cards in my pockets. And every single day I made a point of making sure that those cards got given away. And it almost became a joke sometime, because once a week I'd go over to my husband's office and I'd say, here's my card. Remember, I'm in real estate. Oh, and here's another card. Please give one to a friend. I really need your help. And it was like they saw me coming. They knew they better have a referral ready, or they saw me coming and they go, I already have an extra card, Doris. The point being that if any of those people who saw me coming, they knew that I was in business, and if they were, and what business I was in, And if they were going to think about buying or selling real estate, or one of their family members just happens to speak up and says, we're going to be transferred and I'm going to need to move, they can say, oh, you have to call my realtor, Doris Carlin. This is how solid your relationship is when you have people that you connect with in your database. Gary Keller used to tell us in his mastermind group all the time, your database is your business. He really drilled that into us. Your database is your business. And I made it my business to be in touch with everyone in my database. So how do we make sure that we have enough people in our database? Okay, well, Gary says, once you meet your new contacts, you either do business with them immediately or you don't. Either way, you've met them, you put them in your database, and you stay in touch with them forever. Forever sounds like just a million years away. But forever is how you stay in touch with them. And all of our programs and electronics and command, everything makes it so much easier now to do it than ever before. That's why we're so blessed to be with Keller Williams. I had the mindset when I went to live off my database every day that people were just out there waiting for me to call them. People needed my services. That was how I felt about it. And I felt I was doing them a disservice if they were on my mailing list and they got hooked up somehow with an agent who wasn't as competent as I was, or who just didn't have the knowledge or experience that I had. So I felt that as a true calling, that they needed my help. Now, when you're first starting out, your goals are probably a little bit different. You might say, well, anybody who's breathing is my lead, and I'll call them until they become a contact. If you've been in business a little while, then you can kind of narrow that down. Now, don't be one of those people that's always getting ready, to get ready, and don't take action until your database is perfect. That's not what I'm saying here. I am saying when you have enough people that you are so busy, then you can narrow down the focus of people you like, people you want to do business with, people who want to do business with you. So I want you to think about that as you grow your database. You've all heard the expression, people like them. Well, this is what we're talking about. It's your friends. They like you, you like them. Those are the people in your database. You're going to become personal friends, strength partners with everyone in your database. Now let's look at why we identify the goals. And that's this. We're going to talk about this little forward moving arrow here. Because in session 11, 10, 11, you talked about lead generating. And today we're really focusing on lead follow-up and what that means, because we want that to push forward to a real transaction. A transaction of some sort or another, where maybe you can be of service to them, even if it's not buying or selling a house. When we compare this graph to the way we develop our relationship and our database, you can see it's a natural flow. And in contact management systems like we have, it's already there to help us, to remind us to what phase we're in, to continuing to contact people. These are what Gary Keller calls golden leads. They're what I call hot leads. You know, and you can have people in your database. And I'm going to tell you a story. My husband is like the #1 guilty person of this. My husband, if you called him on the phone and said, when do you plan on moving? He would say, I'm never moving out of my house. I'm going to die here. I love this house. He did love this house. We lived in the house. We lived in the historic district. We had a 3-story Victorian. And you know what? One day I had a health issue. I could no longer go up and down 3, 4, counting the basement, flights of stairs. And so 2 hip replacements later, 2 new hips later, I couldn't go up and down the stairs. I wasn't as young as I used to be. And 31 years to the month that we moved into that house, we moved. And when we made that decision, it came pretty quick due to health reasons. So the person my husband had told, if he'd talked to any other realtor but me, which he wouldn't, of course, but if he did, he would have said, I'm going to live here forever. But then you know what happened? We moved to a house that was all on one level. I actually loved the house. A year later, he says to me, you downsized me too fast. This house just isn't big enough for us. And I said, okay. So we looked for a larger house that was all on one level. So here we are, the people who are never going to, in a million years, move. We're going to die in this house. We made 3 real estate moves within 3 years. So that's why you keep people in your database forever, because you never know when things are going to change. They're going to, all times of their life, they're going to get married. They're going to have children and need a bigger house. The children are going to move away and they'll want to downsize. I hear a lot, well, we want to go move closer to our grandchildren. I want to invest in real estate because I know that's how I can build my wealth. People will move at all times in their life, and sometimes not when they expected to. And that's why we want to be their trusted source. Now, how many of you have ever made a commitment to be on somebody's website? To be in their database, I should say. Maybe you weren't ready to make a purchase, but you signed up for a database. I'm notorious for this when it comes to clothes. Give me a 40% off discount. I will sign up for your brand to come to my email all the time until I use that 40% discount. And then what does that brand do? They send me an email every single day. Now I've got this 40% discount burning a hole in my pocket, but I'm reading their email to me every single day because they have something that probably at some point I'm going to want. Now, how many of us have ever done that? How many of us have signed up for a website that we never fully intended to be on their website? Well, the quality and the frequency of your follow-up is what's going to really make you become brand aware, if you will. So I can tell you the websites that send me emails every day because I'm very aware of them. And I'll go to them first if I'm going to buy something, okay? So that's what we want for you. So here we're talking about making offers for immediate response. Making offers for immediate response can be something that is absolutely dig your heels in on the moment, or it can be something that's really fun. Looking at this slide here, why do I emphasize so much being top of mind awareness or being mind share positioning, as Gary would call it? It's because of these statistics right here, quite frankly. NAR says that 74 to 75% of buyers and sellers and investors will call one agent. Who are they going to call? In my case, I wanted to make sure it was the Doris Carlin team. They were going to call me because I was top of mind awareness. I contacted them all the time. I invited them to parties, things they never came to, but they always knew I was thinking about them. That's an alarming statistic. Look, the other 15% on both sides, they probably interviewed 2 agents. And everyone else are probably the high analytical type that think they have to interview 3 agents or more to get a good agent, or perhaps they had no one at top of mind awareness and they did business with their sister-in-law who just got a real estate license. Who knows? That's a statistic that I think is so very important for us to remember, especially when we know that people are going to buy and sell at all different times in their lives and maybe at a moment's notice. When we say you never stop contacting the people in your database, it's because you want to have emotional proximity to them. That's you showing your value proposition to them and becoming their top choice when it comes to real estate. I educated my clients that I would be the person of choice they'd call about anything home related. If they needed a plumber, if they needed a chimney cleaner or a housekeeper or anything in between that had to do with the house, call me. I have references. I can give you referrals. Anything that had to do with real estate, attorneys, title companies, surveying companies, you name it, I know it. Even with clients who came from out of town, we'd close on a property and I said, now listen, if you need so much as a dry cleaner, a plumber, or a hairdresser, you call me. I'm here to be of service to you. This doesn't stop here with the transaction. Also early on in my career, I made the point of adopting the other side of the transaction when people were not in my company. Like I would never do this with a Keller Williams agent, but back in the day, there was a Century 21 or there was a Coldwell Banker. And if a Coldwell Banker buyer or a Century 21 buyer bought my listing, I would call the buyers in a couple of weeks and say, hey, this is Doris Carlin with Keller Williams Realty. And I just wanted you to know that I still am in touch with the sellers of the house. And that's because we're going to be in contact with them forever, remember? And I just wanted you to know if you ever had any questions about the house or you ever needed anything, please feel free to call me. And sometimes they would say, oh, thanks, but our agent was my sister-in-law, so I'll always have to do business with her. I said, oh, I completely understand. And I totally wish you the best. And that was it. I took them off the list. Their sister's an agent. But sometimes I got the response, you're the only person who's called me since we moved into this house. You're the only real estate agent. No one else has called us. I said, really? Well, let me just say this. If you ever need anything regarding housing, a lawn mowing person, anyone, you just let me be your resource. I have lots of contacts that I can make recommendations for you who are people you can trust. And so then now I've just turned them from a lead into a contact. I'm dumping them in my database, which is a new thing you can do now. Just dump it in your database, check with your tech person. And in addition to that, they're pretty impressed with me. I mean, I'm the only one that called them and said, welcome to your new home. Now, do not do this with agents in your office. Okay. I want you to train your buyers, train your sellers, train your investors that you are the resource of choice when it comes to anything at all real estate. Okay. Now, another interesting NAR statistic is that 47% of buyers used a name of someone that a friend gave to them. So you see, when they saw me coming at my husband's work, they had a card to give out. If a new home buyer wanted a house, here, call my agent, Doris Carlin. That was my goal because I knew that 47% of new home buyers are going to ask a friend first. So I want all my friends, all the people I know, all the people I don't know that well, recommending me as a real estate agent. And pretty soon, over time, you get that reputation because you've been consistent with your database. And we'll talk a little bit about that later on. Okay, your database is your business. Don't forget. Gary Keller will tell you that over and over again. The will is as important as the skill. The will is as important as the skill. That's your mindset. That's a quote by Harvey McKay, by the way. So really remember, hope today had some meaningful insights about that mindset. And then at the end of the day, if there's any questions that you didn't have answered today, please, let's get together with your facilitator and let's talk about that. Because 2 heads are always better than 1, 3 heads are better than 2. And where you might have an aha, someone else may have missed that point altogether. And something you may have missed, another person has as an aha. And that's where we get ideas. That's called brainstorming. All right, let's move ahead. We're gonna devise a plan. Woo! Turn to page 12 and a half, 12.5 to be exact. Now, in session 10, you built your 19 to connect, right? Now, we're going to talk about 36 to connect. And if you notice, now this is so interesting to me, we're not really asking you to do that much more. So you have your 4 touches or your quarterly phone calls, right? And instead of 12 touches, we're going to have 26 touches. And if you're talking about, special events, get-togethers, parties, picnics, volunteer events, okay, those can be 2 additional touches. And then your 4 touches of promotional and direct mail versus 2. So you just add into that 19, didn't take a whole lot more. And 1 to cement, a high-value touch that solidifies the relationship you have just established and opens the door to all future relationships. And remember, as you're looking at this page, I call them the digging deeper questions. Those questions are who, what, where, when, why, how. Do you know those about each and every person in your database? Because the more you know, the more stable and solid your relationship is. Now, what do the people in your database value? Do they value their pets, their children, sports activities that their children go to? What is it that they are interested in? Do they have hobbies? Do they like art? Can you refer them to an art gallery that they might like? There's so many things that you can do with your clients once you know what their values are. Your clients, your customers, your sphere, your friends. Because in my mind, I was making everyone in my database my friend. So that I never had a cold call to make. I always had warm calls to make and say, hi, how can I help you and your business? By the way, who do you know that wants to buy or sell some real estate today? So now we're going to talk about crafting your message, including MOFIR. And what the heck does that mean, right? Well, it means make an offer for an immediate response. Well, making an offer for an immediate response could include your 6 connection questions we just talked about. But what it is it's a direct offer to get an immediate response. So make an offer for an immediate response, MOFIR, okay? Now, how do we do that? Well, I say it's kind of according to the person in your database, because here's some scripts on page 12.6 that gives you some ideas about, hey, a new house just came on the market. I knew you liked that neighborhood. I'm just calling you. If you want to go look at it, give me a call immediately. That's the kind of market we're in. Create urgency with them. Hey, interest rates are going up. Have you thought about refinancing before they get any higher? Maybe you want to get a better rate or take some equity out of your home. Call me. I have sources that can help you and would love to do business with you. See, again, I'm the trusted resource, okay? Then there's fun ones. Say somebody isn't going to buy a house for a while, but I see them all the time. They're really fun for me. It's like, do you like this kitchen or that kitchen? Do you like this bathroom or that bathroom? Do you like this fireplace or that fireplace? And all the time, if they respond to those, you're getting information about what they like. And so if you're really paying attention to those responses, you now know which houses they like better than others. Do they like new houses? Do they like historic homes? Do they like ranch? Do they like mid-century modern? These are all things you can get to know by doing those offers for immediate response. And John Maxwell also said, great communicators leave their audience with great clarity. So if you make an offer for immediate response, what immediate response do you want? Now, I get those market shots, those neighborhood market shots, is that what they call them? Okay, neighborhood market shots, and I get those every week from my friends all over the country because I'm on their email. And so every week, and some of them even have my wrong neighborhood in it, so it's fun. I get to know everything that's going on in every neighborhood around my house. People love hearing about their neighborhoods. Make sure you have their neighborhood pretty honed in when you do that. But it's a great way to contact them. Now, it may not get you an immediate response, but it really keeps you in the loop. All right, you've got some scripts there, and you can write down some of the other ones that we just talked about. All right, let's move ahead. Turn to page 12.7. Okay, now we're going to develop our 36 touch plan. And this is going to be so much fun because we're going to break here. And during this break, I'm going to actually have you work on your 36 touch plan. And then when we come back from our break, I'm going to share with you what my 36 touch plan was during all the years that I did business. So remember, again, John Maxwell said, in his 21 laws of leadership, law 10, you must touch the heart before you can ask for a hand. So add value to those on your database by really thinking about how you're going to touch them. He also says people will not go along with you if they can't get along with you. So throwing that in there, so those fussy ones that really aren't going to do anything or don't even know what they want yet, let's work with the people who are willing to give us immediate responses so we can have a solid relationship with them. All right, let's break for 10 minutes. I want you to work on your 36 touch plan, and we'll be back, and I'm going to share with you mine. Welcome back. We're in session 12 of Ignite and strengthening our relationships. And I'm going to have some fun right now with you because I'm going to tell you all about how I worked my database. And this is how I strengthened relationships. And go to your form that's on page 12. What did I say it was? Page 12.7. And you can just write down some things you like to do, some things that you've just been brainstorming about, or you can steal any of my ideas. They're all fun. Okay, number 1, quarterly phone calls. All right, well, these were calls that I made person to person. Now, I might leave a message. For example, if it was Thanksgiving time, I wanted them to know I was thinking about them. So if I got their message machine, I might leave a message that said, hey, I'm just thinking about all the things I'm most grateful for. And one of the things I'm most grateful for is you and your family. Happy Thanksgiving. And I just leave that as a message. So that was my personal touch. It wasn't necessarily a one-on-one touch, but ideally it's a one-on-one touch. And you say, hey, Happy New Year. It's January. And by the way, it's not too late to buy your wife a new house for Valentine's Day. Whatever you want to say, it could be around their birthdays, you can be around anniversaries, it could be around if you saw in the newspaper that their child just won a sports event or played a great game. You can do anything like that to just call them and congratulate them and remind them that you're in business. Hey, have you thought about who you know that's going to be buying or selling real estate in the next few months? They know you're going to ask them for a referral. They're looking for your phone call 4 times a year. Lots of different reasons. Their kids are going to graduate. It's that time of year now, kids are graduating. Adults are graduating. Maybe they went back to business school. Maybe they went back to nursing school. Anything like that is really awesome for you. To congratulate them, to share an important milestone in their life. Anything that you know about them, you can use. Hey, I saw on Facebook that, your 25-year-old cat died. I'm really sorry to hear that. Anything. Give them a personal touch. Okay, now let's go to 26 biweekly emails offering something of value. Now this was a little different for me because I didn't have a lot of email connections or email addresses back in the day. I will say that we did postcards a lot. And so when you get down to promotionals or direct mail items, that's that. And then biweekly emails, a lot of times I would just make a 5th phone call or a 6th phone call. Or I think you can email people today about interesting things going on in your community. You can just cut and paste. Maybe there's an art walk in your community. We have a thing in Joplin that's like third Thursdays when they close down all of Main Street. They have music and vendors and food, and just remind them that third Thursday is coming up. If there's some kind of a social mixer, we've actually had open houses in a luxury home that the local Macadoodle sponsored. We did wine tasting and hors d'oeuvres and let them tour the luxury home. So those are some things that you can do that are that you can invite them to. And really your percentage is probably pretty low that they'll come. But the most important thing is that they got an invitation, that they knew you were thinking about them. We would send them every year. One of the things we did was we sent a postcard that said, spring forward, time to set your clock ahead. And by the way, if you know someone who wants to buy or sell real estate, call the Doris Carlin team. And then we'd say, hey, it's time to set your clock back, fall back. Pretty postcard with fall leaves. Maybe at Thanksgiving, we send out a recipe. The interesting thing about those spring forward and fall back cards were when we did change that to an electronic email instead of a physical postcard. We had people for 2 years talking to us about that, saying, I miss my postcard from you, because we had done it so many years. And they said, I always set my clock when your postcard came. So now I said, well, now you have to pay attention to your email now. Because sometimes don't we all get overwhelmed with emails? So do something maybe a little bit different. I talked about those neighborhood snapshots that you can send out. I think those are terrific. And we used to do it in a postcard form that just said a market update. And it would tell them how many houses sold in their neighborhood, or sometimes we do the whole MLS. The average price range was, and the time on the market, how many days we're on the market. So those are all interesting statistics. People are always interested in real estate, and especially right now, just that's what everyone's talking about. Anything that's open to the public, so maybe a new business or ribbon cutting, something that maybe the chamber sends out an announcement about that you can just cut and paste. These are things that I think are a lot of fun for people. If they're interested in it, they'll go, let's put it that way. And if they're not interested in it, they know you thought about them. Wow, she thought about us. We're not going to go. Maybe there's a fundraising event in your town that's big. Just something to think about. Events. Oh gosh, I have so many ideas here. This is just so much fun. So, some agents do like MREI, investor seminars, and invite their clients to them. Those are fun. I didn't personally do those. I still think that those are a great idea as an event. But we used to have an annual Christmas party, and we'd have it at the local country club, and it was not an inexpensive event to put on. However, we invited the families to come and bring their children or their grandchildren, and for dessert it was decorating cookies for the kids, and Santa was there, and they could have their picture taken on Santa's lap. And we also did family portraits. We had a photographer there that did family portraits. And then when the party was over, they had to come to our website to pull down their child on Santa's lap or their family portrait. And most of them, still have these pictures that we had. We have an office-wide fall party that everyone in the office contributes to, and they rent out a barn and some acreage, and we have a petting zoo and serve hot dogs, hamburgers, sodas, kettle corn, and just have a really good time. And everyone in the office invites all of their customers, and it's just a big KW event. We ask them to register when they come in with their name and who invited them, so the agent knows that they came by, just in case there's too much of a crowd, you missed them. However, it's just really a fun party, and everyone, together, many hands make for lighter work, so having one big office fall party has been really, really nice for us. And again, we invite people to bring their kids and their grandkids, and there's games and there's toys, and there's just all kinds of stuff. Talk about if you have a small movie theater in our town that is owned by an individual. And so we've had it where we bought the movie theater and all the popcorn and all the Cokes, and invite the family. We have a PG rated movie, and people can bring their grandkids, and we just open the movie theater up. Now, there's so many seats in these theaters, so people have to RSVP. So there's maybe another offer for immediate response. Again, not everyone's going to come. However, gosh, what a fun event. The Doris Carlin team invited us to that. Isn't that nice? That was nice of her to think of us. Okay, now, one of the guys in my office, I love this. He has a dumpster dump, okay, once a year for his clients. And he tells them ahead of time, he sends out, we're gonna have a dumpster on our parking lot on this Saturday and Sunday, and any of those big items you've been wanting to get rid of, well, you just bring them and throw them in the dumpster. My treat. And I love this because he gets it totally sponsored, so it doesn't cost him anything. And if the dumpster fills up by noon on Saturday, they just bring another dumpster. fills up by 6 o'clock Saturday, they bring another dumpster. Take away that one full, bring an empty one. So it's really a fun event for people because there are times when it's really difficult for them to get rid of certain things, and they can now bring them, dump them in the dumpster. It doesn't cost this agent a thing. I just love that idea, and I think it's really fun. He puts it out here in our parking lot. So, Red Day. I think it's important for our clients to know that we do so much for our communities and we volunteer so much. And we've often invited our clients to Red Day because, again, they're probably not going to take the whole day off work and come volunteering for us to clean up the stream or to clean up the public park or to, whatever we're doing that particular year. However, the invitation is what's important, and the awareness that we're giving back to our community is what's important, and we communicate that to every single person in our database. I think that's a fun thing that we do. Another agent in our office gives pumpkin pies for Thanksgiving. And again, this is something that you do have to respond to. So you have to RSVP that you are going to come and pick up a pie, because they don't just order 2,000 pies, they order maybe 200 pies because that's the number of RSVPs they get. So again, people think you're very thoughtful, you're making them a pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving, saves them from having to do that, and they may or may not even respond. But for those of you that have solid relationships, people are going to appreciate it whether they take advantage of it or not. So those are some fun things. I bet you guys can brainstorm about others. Some of the email offerings that I think have been fun, as I've seen them and done them, is, like getting your house ready for vacation, what to do while you're on vacation, like a little checklist, or what to do for, like, when thinking about winterizing your home, closing the vents underneath, disconnecting your hoses, all the things that a homeowner needs to know about winterizing their home or going on vacation or anything that has to do with the home. I love those emails, and I think they're pertinent because, again, your brand is being the realtor. What you do is help people buy and sell houses. So when they think of anything that has to do with their house, I want them to think of me. Isn't that nice of Doris Carlin sending me this email that says I need to winterize my house? I never even thought about closing the vents or insulating the outside pipes. Okay. Sometimes there are chamber events that are open to the public, or some kind of galas to raise money for the Children's Center or an art center. So those are all events that you can invite people to. They may or may not know about them. They may or may not come, but it's just really fun. One year we did flags. I lived in a historical neighborhood, I told you, for 31 years. And so I actually did this many years in a row. And that is, we put American flags on our whole historic district. So out on the curb, between the sidewalk and the houses, we would put American flags. So when you looked at the historic neighborhood, it was just littered with American flags. And we had these little cards, and we just stuck the little cards on the post of the flag and stuck them in the ground. So we installed them, and they knew who they were from, the Doris Carlin team. All right. Another thing of value, perhaps, is sending one of your famous family-loved recipes. And I have a friend who does this every year, and I really enjoy getting it. And it's, their cranberry sauce. And I've used that at Thanksgiving for, their grandmother's cranberry sauce. I've used that at Thanksgiving for years. I still remember who sent it to me. So those are just some different ideas. What's so really cool now is that you can go right on KW, right, Jody? You can go right on KW and get a newsletter, compose it yourself. All these things are out there, and all you have to do is cut and paste and send out your own newsletter. That, to me, I would make it short because, again, aren't all of us overloaded with emails? But that is also a promotional item. And you can include those articles like winterizing your house or falling back in the time, setting your clocks back, if you do that in your part of the world. There is one thing I wanted to tell you about. This is the thing that we send every single year, has the longest shelf life of anything we send out. And that is, we have these little calendar magnets, and they're no more than this big. And they have a picture of the team down at the bottom. This is from the Doris Carlin team, and then they have all the days and the months of the year. I've seen people do it with sports teams, Red Sox, Chicago Cubs and Red Sox. I mean, I've seen it done all over. But it isn't just for a season. This is for the whole year. And I'll tell you, it's really interesting to me. Once I had a gentleman on my, an older gentleman on my mailing list, and we send it with our holiday cards, so they get it right before the new year. And this gentleman, his wife had passed away, and he passed away. And his kids came from all over the country to the house, and they had to sell the house. Well, guess whose magnet was on the refrigerator for the last 3 years in a row? So what realtor were they going to call? Honestly, right? And I got that listing, and we got that sold for them. So that one thing has a year shelf life. It's the one thing we probably spend the most money on. It's a really good looking piece, and we send it out with a holiday card from the team every year. Maybe you have a favorite summertime recipe as well as a favorite holiday recipe. Just think about all those things. And that about covers it for my 36 touch plan. Okay, now turn to page 12.8. We're going to talk about goal setting to the now. And what I like to call this exercise really chunking it down, okay? So let's say, for example, you have 200 contacts in your database, and you've got them all in there with a touch plan. And how many contacts is that actually per year? Well, was it 38 touch? What's that going to be? It's going to be 7,200 touches a year. Wow. That sounds exhausting and to me overwhelming. And that's why I like to chunk things down. So take, for example, on page 12A, let's just go through this real quick. So the number of contacts, let's say you have 72, however many people you have in your database, let's say whatever that number is, it's 200 in this example. Okay, now times 4, that means I'm gonna have to make 7,200 calls per year. But a year's a long time, so let's chunk it down. Divide it by 12. Well, if I divide it by 12, that's only 600 calls a month. Okay, now divide it by week. Well, that's only 150 contacts a week. And then you take that 150 and you divide that by 5 days in a week. Now we're down to what I call a real doable number, and that is 30 touches a day. And 30 touches a day allows you to really leverage yourself so that you are absolutely making those phone calls on a daily basis. And which is why we say 9 to 11 is your lead generation time or your lead follow-up time or whatever you want to call it. But in my opinion, it was my lead gen time. I was calling my database. And that's what I did as part of my business, because my business was my database. I got this. This is really cool. I'm going to just show this to you. Can you see it? There we go. Okay, so what this is, I got this from a friend of mine who's a top millionaire real estate agent. And this is what his team does. And basically week 1, they call A and W's and they text N's. On week 2, they call B's and E's and text S's. And they have a 52-week plan so that every single person on their database gets a phone call and a text and a touch. I just think that was fun. And that's courtesy of Steve Schleter, MAPS coach extraordinaire. So thank you, Steve. So now we have what I call doable increments that we're going to be doing every day. So let's plan our touches. We have one goal, we're breaking it down, and you follow through with that exercise just the way we talked about it. And then when you're leveraging, you can use the Keller Williams resources. There's a whole library of things already invented, just like I shared with you my plan. Those weren't all original ideas. I got lots of ideas from other people. Other people got ideas from me. We shared them all. And you have a whole database that can curate the 36 touches for you and remind you when to do them, how to do them. And so get with your tech person, because I think that you can use the command resources for all of your planning, your smart plans. And with your facilitator, if you have any questions on how to do that, or your tech person in your office. So think of it this way. Each day in Ignite, we want you to grow in how you think, in how you feel, in how you act, and how you implement, take action on what you've learned. Because you can think all you want. You can get your database ready to get ready, to get ready, to get ready. But without the action, we have nothing. With the action, with the mindset, you have everything here to achieve really big goals. Now let's talk about a success system. You have your success activities that you're doing every day, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. At this point, 12 weeks in, 6 weeks in, you should have this as a daily habit. This will also help you develop all your statistics. So put them on command, and command will give you your statistics. This is the foundation of your business. Doing these activities is the foundation of your business. And if you want to make your business your database, it's lead generating from your database and making phone calls and connections every single day. That's the action you must take to have a big, successful life. So we're practicing going from conversations, I should say, and having dialogues with people, to conversions, making them appointments with people, and getting signed agreements, signed contracts, and sales close. Now, before we get involved in conversations with our sphere and our lead generating, we must remember to comply with TCPA and the do not call regulations. I'm just going to remind you to check with your market center broker or your attorney to ensure that you're in compliance. It is your responsibility to subscribe to the registry, to check before you call, to update your call list regularly, honor your consumer requests, and know your state and federal laws. This is why I loved working with my database so much. They were my constant source of referrals, and they were my friends. No one ever got mad at me for calling them and telling them a house down the street just sold for $550,000. They were excited about it. So you see, how we use this is very, very important. When I would close on a property, I would ask both the buyer and the seller, may I have permission to call you in the future? I feel like we've become friends. By the way, you know I'm gonna have to replace you now. I need someone else to sell a house to. So who do you know that wants to buy something? You see, we train our clients that we're going to call them, that we're going to keep in touch with them. We train our prospects. May I have permission to call you anytime I see something that would fit your needs? These are also good ways, besides what we just talked about, in addition to good ways to make sure that you have lasting relationships and that you have good relationships with everyone you speak to. Now, we're getting our mindset primed for the process. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in relationship with me. You write this down. What a great affirmation. People are happy to be in relationship with me. I'm so excited. People can't wait for me to call them every day. I said that to myself over and over again. People are out there, they're ready to do business, they're just waiting for me to call them. That's how I made appointments. I'm doing my clients a disservice if I'm not doing business with them, and I'm letting them get in the hands of someone who's incompetent or less knowledgeable or less experienced than I am. I truly believe this in my mind. So I want you to have this affirming message that you say out loud with yourself and each other. People are happy to be in relationship with me. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution. I am here to be of service to my clients, my contacts, my customers, my friends. That's my purpose. Now, it's time to turn you over to your facilitator, where you get to do the rest of the story with them and role play and role model and real play. Get on the phone, talk to some people today, get in their way. So as I turn this over to your facilitator, I want you to remember the things we talked about today. And if you have any questions at all, you're sure welcome to contact me anytime. To talk with your Market Center team leader, your facilitator today, your tech person, about all the ideas that we talked about. And you guys have a great rest of Ignite.